Right then, friends, we are inside the building right about now. It's just gone 5 minutes past 9 here on the big bad Trickstar Radio. Hope everyone is enjoying the show so far. We've just gone through the new music wake up and the news hour, and we are now moving into interview hour, which I absolutely love doing Monday through till Thursday. And we are joined by a very special guest this morning. Man like Blakk Habit is in the building. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning, good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. It's good to hear from you. It's good to have you on the show. Obviously, we've had this one locked in for, I think, about 6 weeks now in total. This was one we've had locked in for a long, long period of time. So I'm buzzing to get into the conversation and have a little chat about what's been going on. So obviously, with this show, it's a very kind of multi-genre show. A lot of different people come on from a lot of different areas. So what I like to do to begin with is to get our prestigious guests to introduce themselves. So for those that don't know, those unfortunate few who don't already know, who is Blakk Habit and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Blakk Habit. I'm based in Leeds. I mainly produce UKG, but I've been known to dabble with other genres as well, notably like D&B, sort of liquid D&B as well. But yeah, mainly UKG at the minute, so that's me, yeah.
Love that. I love that, and I love to hear it. So kind of with that then, kind of going back to the sort of earlier sort of influences and early days of production, what was the thing that kind of grabbed you? What was the thing that made you really go, you know what, garage is the thing for me?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm from a musical sort of background. My dad was in a band. And I started learning jazz piano and things like that. So I was from an early age, I was interested in how records were actually put together rather than just casually listening. I was trying to dissect it in my brain and recreate and steal, build and borrow and you know, just trying to sort of build up my knowledge of how these songs are constructed. Because it was definitely pre-YouTube era where you could just pretty much search for anything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
kind of,
do you feel almost a little... I was going to say, do you feel almost a little bit spoiled in this kind of new school era?
Well, yeah. I mean, now, you've got infinite access to anything. So you're really looking to go in on a certain sound or a certain technique. It's there in abundance online. I try not to sort of delve too much into it because, I mean, for me, the beauty of music is experimenting. Just trying things, and that's how you kind of form your sound. It's certainly how I formed my sound.
Definitely, man.
Just trying stuff.
Definitely. That kind of idea of experimentation and that kind of understanding that kind of going into the unknown is where you'll find the most exciting things because you don't know where you're going and you don't know what the sort of production scenario is going to bring up. Like kind of moving back again to the more sort of earlier times then. What was the kind of setup you were using when you first kind of got involved with that sort of production alias?
Yeah, it was very, very basic, really. I had an Akai S2000 sampler, which I worked pretty much all summer to save up for. And I got one of those, learnt it inside out. I had that hooked up to a little hardware sequencer at first, but then later on I got a second-hand Atari ST.
Okay.
So yeah, just a MIDI only setup, really. Routed in through a mixer and yeah, I had a little synth workstation as well. So yeah, really basic. Not much sort of, you know, in the way of VSTs or anything like that. It was all MIDI.
All MIDI, nice. I mean, yeah. This is really cool to kind of hear, especially when we're kind of comparing, obviously, the scenario to now, where garage is on this massive resurgence. It's become like the buzz genre of dance music. I feel over the last 2 years, it's really the thing that people are most excited about, and people are kind of naturally kind of gravitating towards. If we kind of look at like production stylings, just to kick us off here, what would you say is the main thing that's kind of changed for you in regards to the way you build music? Like what's the main thing that's changed in the process?
Well, firstly, a lot has stayed the same, but the things that have changed is layering. So, you know, I mean, in the early days, firstly, my knowledge, I didn't have the knowledge of how to, you know, construct a mix down properly. So that's something I've learned. I've been producing since 1997. So, you know, that knowledge has kind of grown with me.
Amazing. I mean, that's a long period of time as well. So, yeah. I mean, if we're looking from 97 through till now, that might be the period where things have changed the most, realistically.
Definitely. I think that, you know, I mean, the computer, the DAWs are so advanced now, and they were quite basic when I was starting out. There was still a lot of stuff done solely on hardware, really. You buy a synth, it'd have a step sequencer sometimes built in, or you try and design as much of the sound in the synth. Later on, I found myself resampling a lot, so recording the sound as raw as you can do, and then messing with it on the computer. So yeah, I would say the computers and the DAW capacity is something that's grown probably the most in that time, and certainly the way I've grown as well, the way I work.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's mad to kind of think about how much has kind of physically changed, not even kind of in mindset, like how much has physically changed in what the production process involves. And it's not just in garage, it's across every genre. Like that's where we are now, where it is completely different. I mean, kind of in those sort of earlier days then, what was the scene like in comparison to now? Obviously on an artistry kind of level.
The scene was healthy. I think a lot of the industry was very much based around relationships, word of mouth. It was not pre-internet era, but pre-internet to promote yourself sort of era. It was if you were pressing up vinyls, it was which record stores can you go around, which DJs can you get those dubs in front of. There was a lot of there's a very manual aspect to it, really. Going out and shaking hands in clubs and talking to people and creating a buzz that way.
Definitely. So what I like to call analog networking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like actually having to. I mean, you say that to certain people now, and it's like, yeah, you actually have to go to gigs and hand out CDs to people, and people look at you a bit like, what? That's why?
Yeah,
why on earth would you want it? And it's quite mad when you do actually break it down. That idea of networking being. I mean, I still believe to this day that the best way to network is to be out and about in the dances and in the raves. Obviously, meeting the DJs and having actual physical conversations. I don't think that's ever going to really change, but it is kind of crazy how easy it is to access people now.
Oh yeah, I mean, without a doubt. You can finish writing a track and within 10 minutes it can be across the world. But I think that's great. It certainly helps everyone to be connected, and the scene's probably more diverse because of it. I've been doing a little bit of work recently with Sermo over in Hungary. Two emails and you're in. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't possible before, but I think that's great because what it means as well. The sound just it has different spins on it. People can make their own interpretation of garage or whatever genre they're working on, and it'll sound like their influences from their areas. So and everyone feeds into that, and it's just like an endless cycle of inspiration.
Definitely, man. I 100% agree. I've written this in a couple of articles recently as well, kind of discussing this idea that as soon as a genre becomes almost like a worldwide influence thing, that's when it becomes its own entity, and it becomes almost like exponential how it grows and different types of influence go into it. It's a really interesting thing to watch from the sidelines. Like kind of with that, obviously, something I do want to kind of discuss is obviously this massive resurgence in garage. Like, did it kind of take you by surprise when it sort of kicked off a couple of years ago, or was it something you kind of expected to always happen?
I think I wasn't surprised, only because there's now a new generation being exposed to it. Naturally people pick up on a sound, and I think you could probably pin the likes of Disclosure's first EP as a sort of turning point where people were starting to, on a mainstream level, get introduced to sort of the garagey house sort of fusion and shuffle that we kind of know about the sound anyway. So it just shone a spotlight on it, really.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. I agree. It's quite interesting you say Disclosure as well, because even though you wouldn't, I wouldn't personally, and I think a lot of people wouldn't naturally go garage when you hear Disclosure. There are a lot of those garage elements that are kind of threaded through what they do. And to be honest, I'm interested to hear their new album, because I've got a funny feeling there's going to be a couple of bits on there.
Absolutely. I mean, I've only heard, is it Marley?
Yeah.
But I'm just amazing. It's been quite interesting, actually. I don't know if you've seen any of their studio tours and sort of behind the scenes production chats that they've been doing. But just the amount of inspiration that they've got from times gone by, the disco era and things like that. And it just all, like I said before, it all comes into a melting pot of inspiration. You know,
Definitely, 100%.
Nothing works in isolation.
Nothing tends to expand as much when you're very much set, and this is all you're going to do. Like being open to inspiration and new influence is what makes genres grow, and it makes it really, really exciting. What we're going to do, we're going to jump into a track next. One of the ones you've sent over, which I'm super excited to get into, considering the first tune was such an absolute banger. This next one comes from yourself and Cecilia, I believe it's pronounced, goes by the name of You Must Have. So talk to me about this tune, my friend.
Yeah, so I mean, Cecilia is somebody who I've worked with quite a lot in recent times. She's an Irish singer, but she's based in London now, and we kind of met just before I did a track called Raise, and she just hit me up really, and she had this sort of almost Amy Winehouse sort of jazz quality, which I'd just not heard on a garage record really recently, in recent times. So I just thought, yeah, we've definitely got to work together. So we did that track. We actually we came down to Brighton to film the video actually.
Oh.
So we were there across the beach and yeah, spent a day down there, which was cool. And then yeah, we just kept in touch. And this actually, the vocal for this, I'd probably had it for 2 years.
Amazing.
Which seems to be the way. I seem to collect vocals and ideas, and I've just constantly got a folder of unfinished tunes that I revisit just when I see fit, really.
Amazing.
And this was one of those, and I just brought it up to speed with that that sort of 4/4 energy that you can kind of hear in it, really.
Wicked, man. Well, I can't wait to get into it. We're going to get into this one now. It's just gone 16 minutes past 9 here. We are live on Trickstar Radio, at Trickstar BTN, at KXVU. One time, can we get your at and social media tag? What's the best way for people to get you on socials, essentially, sir?
Every social media account that I've got is at Blakk Habit Music.
Amazing. So that's what I love.
BLAKK Habit Music.
Amazing. I love it when it's all one, bro. I love it when it's all the same. It just makes life so much easier. You can't understand how much satisfaction it brings me to just go, it's the same on everything. Right then, people, we're going to get into this one now. Don't go anywhere. We are live on Trickstar Radio. Make sure you are going and grabbing that Trickstar Radio app, of course. Keep it locked. It's Breakfast with Kovu. Oh, yeah.